Most of us never learned how to train our brains, which is why most of us needlessly settle, struggle, and worse, suffer. My name is Chris Doris, and I want to make brain training mainstream. This is my series, Tough Talks, Conversations on Mental Toughness. I'm interviewing badasses from all walks of life on what mental toughness means to them and their unique approaches to strengthening their minds. Yeah, baby, we're back. And I'm super pumped to finally get this guy on the show. He's really hard to get time with because he's too sexy for his shirt. Mike Garrick and I go way back, and I'm really seriously very excited to share him with you because I love this dude for a multitude of reasons. He is the epitome of commitment, dedication, health, perpetual growth, mindfulness, consciousness, all things basically health related. Love, service, husbandship, is that a word?
It's sure. Yeah, you just made it a word.
Husbandship.
Yeah.
Husbandship.
There it is. I like it. I'll take it.
I love it because it has the word ship in it. Anything that's got the word ship in it.
You do.
You
got a ship in your background.
And fathership. You're good at fathership.
Yeah.
So basically all things ship related, you're amazing at. Health ship, right? All that kind of ship. All right, we're going to talk about all kinds of ship today, right?
Yeah, tons of.
And so just to remind, if there are any new listeners today, the reason for this Tough Talks series to even occur is really super significant to me. This is like part of my legacy, right? My mission is to have people become more aware of the fact that there's stuff you can do to strengthen the way that you use your mind, which ultimately ends up in you having life be more amazing, period. Right? So we weren't taught that in schools. We didn't have classes. Like, what was the name of the course that you took or the class that you took in second grade that was like emotional management or how to become a thought warrior? Or, we haven't had that shit. So this is one more way and another medium. I get to use technology and friends to spread the word. And the word is simply, there's stuff you can do, right? To strengthen the way that you use your mind. And as Buddha said, the mind is the forerunner of all things and your life unfolds according to the way that you think. And so this is more information for you. And I'm bringing badasses from all walks of life, right? I want to invite a diversity of badasses. And that's really the qualification to be a guest on this show. You got to be a badass. You have to be able to articulate what mental toughness means, not to me, but to you. And then be able to tell stories about how you practice it. And that's really what I want people to walk away with when they listen to these, is to have some real practical exercises, disciplines, practices, techniques, technology, something to go do, right? Not just to think about, something to actually practice, even if that includes practicing thinking better, but measurable action steps that you can, disciplines and practices that you can incorporate into your life to elevate your experience of life, to have you be more capable of creating effortless in all facets with more effortless ease, which is the definition of the zone. So you are in luck, folks, because you got a guru here sitting in front of you who can talk about all kinds of things. Mike Garrick is the master of mind, nutrition, body. And now let's explain I'll let you explain what that means. I'll say this about that, which is that that's a lot of information to be an expert in, buddy. And you are that, which is one of the many reasons that you're so freaking amazing. You are, as a tiny little bit more of an introduction to you, you're somebody who's relentlessly committed to mental toughness. You always have been, long before you met me. We did some coaching years ago, and you came into that excessively mentally tough already. High performance nutrition, ways to take more action. You help. This is really, I guess, a cool summary of what you do. But you can elaborate on this in a moment. You help people think, eat, and move with a purpose. That's really like your tagline, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, buddy. What are you about, man?
So I would say in one sentence it would be growth and expansion, because I think since I was young I've really been studying about we talk about happiness a lot and fulfillment, and I've been in personal development for 15-20 years now, and you just keep going and you keep going and you keep going, and you think that more information, the information is actually going to be what is going to make you happy and what's going to make you fulfilled, but it's not. really what that's called is mental masturbation. You know, you take in.
We
you
try to
take in
keep
this-
it clean here on Tough
Okay.
Talks, Mike. So watch your fucking mouth, please.
You know, let's keep it raw and talking about, you know, basically jerking myself off mentally with information. You know, I've got probably 300 or 400 or 500 books in my library, all on personal development, nutrition, and fitness. But you know what? That doesn't mean shit, because really, when it comes down to it, it's about results, and results are expansion. To be better tomorrow than you are today in any of those areas that you or I say that's important, right? Does that make sense? So expansion.
Wait,
and
were you actually asking me, does that make sense? Because I'll answer it.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know if that was a hypothetical question.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, let me have you answer if I get it. Okay, you tell me if I got what you just said. You're talking about the distinction between information and transformation.
Correct.
Okay, so you can read your ass off, and you do.
I do.
I know that you do. I know that you do, because you're a social media magnate. So let me just say this. We'll get to it at the end, but let me just iterate it now. Follow this cat, Mike Garrick. In fact, you know what? We'll put your contact information now and again at the end.
Awesome.
Hook, because you know what? You are watching you, reading your stuff, your posts. You know what it is? It's pure inspiration. Period. That's all it ever is. That's all it ever is. It's inspiration, man, and it's great. So, like, follow this cat. I'm telling you, if you don't do that, you're stupid. So follow Mike Garrick on all forms of social media. We'll get to the specifics of that later. But information versus transformation is what you're talking about. You're talking about accessing the information, but then there's another step, which is all the difference, right?
All the difference.
Which is doing something with it, so continue elaborating on that.
So, you know, one of the biggest distinctions that I've come across and made in the last year or two is telling the fucking truth, because a lot of what you're talking about, mental toughness, and this is something that I learned from you, is one of the biggest parts of mental toughness is fighting for perception. And every day we have to wake up and we have to, I mean, you don't have to use the word fight. You can use the word study. You can use the word, discover. You're uncovering perception, and perception is everything, because you have perception, and perception leads to power, right? Perception puts you into power and helps you actually take the action that's going to give you the results that you actually want. And that's, I think, one of the biggest problems, is that we don't open up to changing our perception. Does that make sense?
Of course it makes sense. Yeah,
of course it makes sense, Steve.
I have, in the years that I've known you, I don't think you've ever said anything to me that I thought, that makes no goddamn sense right there. That makes absolutely no sense. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. But I do appreciate your asking me that, to make sure that I'm paying attention.
Yeah.
That's a great way to make sure that, I'm not drifting off.
So if you go all the way back, though, this is what I found. If you go all the way back, here's what I used to do, Chris. Wait, no, let me be completely honest. I still do this. This is one of my things that I guess I learned as a kid. And it's, if things don't go my way, and I remember you taught me this too. Well, I get mad, right? That's not good if they don't go my way. Let's say I work towards something and I don't get what I want, and then I get upset. But here was the big thing that I caught, right? And it was this. It was that I figured when I didn't get what I wanted, I would get upset, and then I would think that if I got really upset inside, if I got really emotional about it, that would actually change something. Right? I get really pissed off about it, and that was going to change something. And I would go on these long drives and these long walks, and I would do all this, and I would just I would brood. This is the word that I found, right? That describes what I do.
Wow.
I would brood.
Good word.
BROOD, right?
Thank
you. It means sit and saute in your emotion.
Wow.
Okay? And here's what you told me, because you gave me the tool catch, own, and replace, right?
Yeah.
And when we came back to this, you said, hey, Mike, you're not catching, owning, and replacing. You're not upgrading the thought. Well, you know what you're doing? You're catch, owning, and analyzing. Oh, hey, I'm really pissed off. I'm going to think about why I'm pissed off more. Instead of going, oh, I'm pissed off. That state doesn't serve me, and I'm going to upgrade that state to a state that does serve me, right?
Yeah, I think that what you're describing, I think a lot of people can relate to. I sure as hell can. I was a good athlete growing up, and the reason I'm using the descriptor "good" is because that's as far as I got. And my coaches always told me, "You're so much better than you realize." And I know a lot of people can relate to this, right? And one of the mistakes, I was timid, but another mistake that I made, which isn't unrelated to that, is I would wait until shit went wrong, right, to get fired up. So I believed that I needed to get fired. I needed to get angry and pissed in order to show up, right?
Right.
But what you're saying is that you thought similarly, right? It's still a form of waiting. You would get angry, and you thought that was the thing that was then going to be the fuel.
Mm-hmm.
But you would hold it, is what you're saying? You'd saute, simmer,
Oh, it's saute
brood.
until
I like
until
saute. I wrote
yeah.
down a note here. Sauteing in your shit.
Yeah, sauteing in your emotions. And here's another way. Okay, so here's what's interesting. I learned this from Tony Robbins. What was it called? I believe it's called the Crazy Eight. You go from depression to anger, and then back to depression, and you just go on this like infinity loop because things don't go your way.
That's
so
the
you
eight. Is the infinity symbol?
Yeah. So you either get pissed because for men it feels more empowering to get pissed than it does to get depressed, right? That's a generalization, but men generally will like flip out and they'll shotgun their emotions all over the place, and it's not relevant. They'll take it out on their kids, they'll take it out on their cat, they'll take it out on everybody. And then when that doesn't work, oh shit, now I'm going to drop back into depression because that's not working either. And then, oh man, depression feels really, really bad. So I'm going to go back into anger, thinking that, like you said, if I work myself up and actually, get mad about it once again, that maybe something will change. And then we kind of go nuts. But reality, to step back and say, look, I don't have to get depressed about it. I don't have to get angry about it. I have to just step back and say, it's just not working. My perception, my belief system, my thought patterns, right? They're not working, right? Because the actions that I'm taking that are coming from those thought patterns, they're not working. Or I know what I need to do and I'm not taking the actions. So you kind of have to be aware enough to understand that part of it, to be able to step back. That's where the truth telling comes in. It's, you got to ask yourself, am I a fucking liar? And people say, you know what, I think I'm a really honest person. And I've said that all the time, but you got to step back and you got to look at all these little tiny lies. Like, oh, hey, I'm going to be 170 pounds by the end of the month. Okay, and then at the end of the month comes, and then instead of facing the facts, you just go, it was because I was sick, or it was because, well, no, okay, that's fine, maybe, but the fact is, you're not 170 pounds. You lied. You said you were going to be, so you take that and you say, okay, I lied. How do I not do that again? Well, I got to get serious, and I got to make sure that my word is my bond, and that I actually do shit, or I say no, or I don't say shit that I'm not going to do, right? So you start to become very aware, and you know what? The reason that I found that people and myself we don't like to do that, it's painful. It hurts.
What?
The truth.
Oh, I see. Why?
Because, for example, to get to power, you got to go through pain. So, for example, go.
What? I don't like the sound of
that
at all.
Think about this. Okay.
That's like the no pain, no gain. I don't support that one bit.
Okay. So.
Although I think you're talking about something else.
Now, because there's a lot.
In order to get to power, you need to go through pain.
Right. And
the pain of what?
It can be the pain of truth. But a lot of people will look at truth as pain. It's not necessarily painful, but it's a place that we don't want to look. It's like these dark places.
That's what I'm asking you is why? Why don't we want to look there? What would have us be afraid of that? What would have us be reluctant to say, I made a commitment at the beginning of the month that I'd be 170 by the end of the month, and I didn't keep my word. Because
we want to be right.
Okay, all right.
And you have to admit, hey.
Because what about why? So we want to be right because being wrong means what? If I'm wrong, what does that? Well, you tell me. Why is being right so important? It's not because of being right or at least as much about what the horrible nature of being wrong, because we've got a story around that. So what's the story about being wrong? What does that mean?
That's a good question, and I think that's part of it, is understanding what that means for each.
Well, there's some
individual.
bullshit story about that, which is
Right.
There's some bullshit story. Collectively, I can speak for us all by summarizing it or reducing it down to this: it means I'm inferior. It means I'm inadequate. It means I'm bad.
Yeah, and if I'm wrong, then you're right, and then somehow I'm inferior. I agree, and that's bullshit. We know that's bullshit. That's kind of how we're programmed. Is that oh, if you're right, like if we're starting to talk and you start to have an idea that doesn't align with my idea, well, I start to go, wait a minute, and I start to think, well, if yours is right and mine is wrong, then there's some kind of disconnect there. Instead of having the distinction of saying, hey, I'm not worried about being wrong or right. I want results. I'm looking for results. So if I go to the gym and I go, hey, I'm just going to go to the gym and I'm going to get on the treadmill and I'm just going to walk, you're not going to really get much out of that. You go and you have a trainer is going to push you beyond your threshold to grow.
I get that, right? And I'm going to play a little devil's. Dude, you can just you can relinquish the need to ask me if that makes sense for the rest of your life.
Okay.
You just never have to do it again.
Right.
We can just wave that right now.
Yeah, it's gone.
It's over. Done.
Done.
So can you commit to not saying that again during this interview?
Yes.
Is that a mindful yes?
That's a mindful yes.
Walk your talk, home skillet.
Okay. All right.
This is exactly what we're talking about, homie.
This is a test.
Now, all right. So I'm going to ask you again because I think you're a little fast, a little rapid with your response right there. Do not say. Does that make sense? Again, during this interview.
Okay,
Can you do that?
What's going to happen if I do?
I'll
leverage this.
Well, it would be a disservice to the audience if I just cut it off. That was my first inclination. I would just say, have a great day. Good luck. Does that make sense? And click.
Damn it!
But I can't do that because that wouldn't be.
Well, what if I catch myself halfway? Does that count?
It does totally counts. It 100% counts. In fact, that's even better because then people get to see you doing the work. Yeah. Because it'd be like, that is the work. That's the work, man. That is the right. Is you in the midst of a sentence going, that's actually not powerful, or not necessarily not powerful. In this case, it's like that's not what I agree to. So, are you agreeing or not? Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So, does that all make sense? Totally. All right. Now, let's go back to what you're saying. I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate because, when's the last time you were out of shape? Honest to God. By normal human standards.
That's a loaded question because
don't.
Okay, well then by my standards, I'm out of shape right now, and that's why I am.
That's why I didn't say by your standards. Your standards are not normal. I'm being dead serious right now.
Okay, well then,
which is a very funny phrase, dead serious. I don't know if I actually want to continue to use that.
Yeah, you're just,
Jason Goldberg, if you're listening to this, I'm thinking of you right now. Because you're do you know who Jason Goldberg is?
I do, yeah.
Oh, do you really? Oh, right on. So, that's like the last phrase he's ever going to use, dead serious. He's all the not so serious guy. So not so seriously, the truth is, though, that your standards are not typical. Okay, you have, by virtue of commitment to your own health, mind, nutrition, and body, for so long, and this is so great and this is useful for everyone to hear, your standards have gradually just escalated. So your baseline is constantly on the rise, right? So, but that's not typical. So on a normal curve, if we're looking statistically at human beings, you're an outlier. And let's just acknowledge that as data. I'm not even complimenting you right now. I'm just saying that's actual fact. And it's important for people to know that because some people, you might alienate unintentionally or just lose some people as they hear this because they're not, because your baseline is not. I can't relate to your baseline. I can't relate. There was a time in my life I could. It ain't now. All right. So I want to play a little devil's advocate because when you say just going to the gym and getting on the treadmill, it's not going to do much for you. But what about somebody who's like morbidly obese and finally decides to invest in their health and gets out of the house and goes to a damn gym, which takes unbelievable amounts of effort for them.
Yes.
Isn't that amazingly powerful for them to just get on the damn treadmill without a metric?
Yes, but.
Okay.
Or I should say not but, and. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So yes, and after they get to the point where that's somewhat easy, which it'll become easier, then they're going to go from being on the treadmill level 1 to, hey, today I'm going to bump it to level 2, and I'm going to do this for a couple weeks or a month.
Excellent. I love that. Okay, so let's take that same thing. Let's go all the way back to the beginning, though.
Okay.
Okay, like what does it take? What do you think it takes for someone to really make the decision to get all in on honoring or prioritizing, when it hasn't been a priority, their overall health, mind, nutrition, and or body? And I'll say a little bit more, because that's a very general question.
Yeah.
Let me try to get it a little bit more specific, because I was thinking about it today, actually, this morning, because I'm in a stage where so once a year I take the month of February, and this year was pushed back 3 weeks because the Eagles won the Super Bowl and I had to party for 3 weeks. So it's not my fault.
Yeah.
That's what happened to me.
Sure.
So, and I'm happy about it. But I'm in the month now. I'm at the very end of the month. And the month I'm calling Pattern Interruption Program, PIP. So where I interrupt a lot of patterns and I examine them all to take a look at what, how am I doing? Like what are my routines? How am I living?
Yeah.
Which patterns and habits, rituals are serving me and which aren't? And let's just take a good look at it. Let's interrupt everything to have a look. And it's I love it so much because it has me feel like I'm being really on purpose. And I'm making a lot of observations where one of the decisions that I made is that I'm never, I told you before we started recording here that I got really up in weight again recently. And I made a decision that, I'm going back down to 200. And here's my decision. I'm never going back up. Ever.
Holy shit.
That's a fact. Now that doesn't mean I'm not going to hover at 2 bills even for, that's
Sure.
absurd. It's not even possible. You eat breakfast and you're over that. But I'm not going to go above, so my metric, and you can tell me later on offline how you feel about the validity of this measurement system, which I'm not attached to, but I am attached to having a measurement system to make sure that to guarantee that my word is ironclad, that I'll never go back up. Right. Which is, so I'm going to use a scale, and I'm going to use my belt buckle and my pants and all that to measure, if I go to 205, it's time to go heads up, man. I'm not waiting to go to 250 to say turn around. But here's the point, is that I'm noticing now, a month in, some of the adjustments that I made seem fun, seem like, God, why would I have not done, why did I ever get away from this? But they weren't that, right? At the beginning, it was very disruptive, right? Like I miss having a glass of wine when I watch the Phillies game, in the afternoon after my work day's over, at the beginning, right? I hadn't shifted away from what actually, now I don't miss that. Actually, what I more is slamming 17 glasses of water and have to pee my brains out knowing that I'm just losing fat, and all other kinds of things. But again, I'll get back to the point that I'm trying to make here is disruptiveness. Is like, what does it take for people to get past the initial disruption or the intimidation of the change? Because it seems like in order for me to get into the groove where I'm like, oh, I like this. I'm jumping into pools in the water, cold pool every morning. And I like it now. That's absurd. Billy Woodmansey, my trainer, who talked me into that. You planted the seed for that actually quite a while ago about the cold stuff, cold water, which we'll talk about in a minute. And I'll tell you, scary shit, man. I'm doing it with a buddy now who lives in my housing complex. And we had a cool conversation this morning when we were just, so it was like, I've recruited, I shamed him into it. So he's jumping in the pool. So I don't have to do it alone. But, he's been doing it for 4 days now. I've been doing it for about a week and a half or 2. And I said to him, this is actually getting more enjoyable. And I think that the only really hard part is in my head right before we jump in. It's like I'm just getting shitty in my head about, man, this is gonna take my breath away. This is gonna, and it's just all the stories, but actually doing it.
Wait, pause right there.
Yeah.
There's the pain I'm talking about.
All right.
In order to get to the exhilaration and the physiological rebound of the cold water, you've got to hit that pain. The cold water is painful, right? It's a form of pain. So you've got to go, okay, I'm going to embrace the pain because I know the power, right? Or the result is coming afterwards. And you know that. And so when you do that, and then you get out and you're like, oh my God, that felt great.
Right.
That felt great.
Right.
That felt great.
So this is the conversation I had with my buddy Scott this morning after we're drying off, and I'm like, we talked about it a couple of days ago, Scott, and we said that it hurts, and I'm realizing today it doesn't hurt. I actually said it to him when we're in the pool. I'm like, this doesn't hurt. This is actually a sensory experience, but it's not pain. The pain happened in my head before we jumped in with fear. But this is actually, when you think about it differently, which is always an option,
right?
This is actually just pure exhilaration. It's not pain like the way this sucks, this hurts. It's like, wow, what a fascinating sensory experience this is. This is like an unfamiliar thing. And couple that with, and there's amazing healthy things happening in me right now.
Yeah.
This is awesome, is what it becomes. It's not pain. Pain is an interpretation in that regard. Don't you think, or no?
Okay, so here's my take on it.
Yeah.
So the type of pain you're talking about in the mind is something that I've started to define as suffering, right? The mental pain is suffering. The physical pain is actual pain. So I'm going to disagree. I'm going to disagree with you with the physicalness with jumping in the water. That's
you're actually not allowed to disagree with me on my podcast.
And I'll tell you why. Because let's take it up a notch. So I started to take it up a notch, and I actually had something that happened that was really scary. But so you got to be careful about being extreme. Right, obviously, because there's risks involved with that. Do you know who Wim Hof is?
I was talking about him this morning to Scott right before I was having him do some breathing, dude. That's so funny you're bringing him up.
I've been studying him for about 1.5 years now, and he's awesome. So he's the contrast, like he's the epitome of cold, of hydrotherapy, right? Specifically cold.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
he's done wild. Just so people know, his name is spelled W-I-M, and his last name is H-O-F. And what country is he from? Is he from the Netherlands or
Denmark or Finland?
something like that.
Somewhere over there, yeah.
But he's done really weird shit. Like he hiked a good portion of Everest in shorts, right?
Yes.
And he sits out in the snow and stuff, and he does
holds all kinds of Guinness Book World Records.
Yeah, right.
He'll cut holes and he'll swim under the ice, right, and then come up like certain distance. He froze one of his eyes doing that and passed out, and they had to pull him back because he was tethered with a rope. They had to pull him back because he pushed the limits. So this is what I was saying is that. So I said, oh, okay. So I've been into hydrotherapy probably for about 10 years. Well, I started to push the limits, and at my old house, I had this. It was a big. Have you seen those troughs that horses or cattle drink out of? That are they look like they're some type of tin or metal. Okay, so I bought one of those, and I would fill it up, and I had this walkout basement, and I would fill it up, and I would walk out, and I would get in that first thing in the morning. I would do my cold plunge, and it was really cold, kind of like jumping in the pool probably in the morning, and like what you do. But here's what happened. I started saying, you know what? I'm going to take it a notch higher. So I started doing it as the weather started to turn. Well, one day my brother's over and we're sitting and we're doing the sauna. So we're doing the hot. And I said, let's go out and do a cold bath. Well, it was January and it was froze over. So we had to break the ice and we had to get in that shit. Okay. Now I'm telling you right now, Chris, that was fucking painful. That wasn't in my head. It burned my goddamn skin. It was so painful, right? Okay. See the distinction I'm making here?
Yeah. I'm in Arizona.
It's levels. It's levels.
Yeah.
So going back to the overweight gentleman, right? That we're talking about. Hey, it's contrast, and it's about getting right in your mind of, hey, I've got this, because you always talk about to start from desire. Yes, you've got to start from desire, but then you've got to ask yourself, how do I get leverage on myself? And there's only 2 ways to get leverage on yourself. There's pain and there's pleasure. And most people respond more to pain than they do to pleasure. So that's with me. I can tell you right now, there's 2 major factors for me that are painful. 1 is money, and 2 is face, like losing face. So if I tell somebody, hey, I'm going to hit this goal, or I'll give you $100 or $1,000, right? And then I tell other people, I tell multiple people, well, now I'm twofold. Actually threefold. I want to hit the goal. That's my desire. That's my pleasure, right? But I've also shut my mouth off, and I've given my word, and I've got money there. So I've got so much leverage on myself, and this is what people don't want to do, because now guess what?
You're accountable.
Oh shit! Now all it is. Now I just got to put the work in. Like I know I have mastered weight loss, or I should say fat loss. I like to say instead of weight loss. I have mastered it. Like I know
like
inside.
That. Actually, I heard that. I like that. That's cool. I'm going to adopt that.
That's huge.
Because
Important.
muscle weighs more than fat, right? So it's fat loss. It's not weight.
If you lose weight, you can lose water, you can lose fat, you can lose muscle, and you can lose what's called glycogen. And glycogen is muscle sugar, right? There's only one of them you want to lose, and that's fat.
Okay.
So
That's
you
great.
don't want to lose these. Does that make sense?
Oh, no!
Oh, shit!
What are we gonna do?
Damn it!
You broke your word. So nothing, everyone. There's no value. Everything he said is bullshit.
Son of a
Nothing he
bitch.
says after this is going to be useful because the guy's a fucking liar. You can't trust his
shit.
word. What do we do? I never even gave what?
What do you want? 10 burpees?
Yep, that's great.
All right.
10 burpees.
10
Give it up.
Here we go. Ready for this?
Yeah, you got earphones in though. Heads up.
I'm going to drop those off. I'm going to do it. Okay, 10 burpees. Here we go.
All right, bring it. This is great. See, look at that guy. He's just shredded. Oh, he starts the burpee. See, I start my burpees with when you drop. So he starts with a jumping. Well, whatever.
5, halfway there.
10 burpees is not a good punishment for him. That's shit. That's like breathing for us.
9.
Wow.
10.
Wow. Raj, good job, man. Nice.
That will never happen again.
Yeah, well, you know what? I don't believe you anymore.
It's about conditioning.
Yeah. Your burpees make my burpees look like taking a nap. Like my burpees are the taking a nap part. So anyway, all right. So now here's the deal. You broke your word.
I did.
Let's pause the rest of the conversation, and let's go there, because you brought it up.
Good.
So what about that, man? So you broke your word. You made a commitment. I asked you to slow down and think about it. Think about what you're saying yes to. So let's talk about this from a scientific. Let's remove all emotion.
Okay.
We're being so scientific about this. We're looking at this like this is data. So you made a pledge, and you were sincere, but you broke the pledge. Where's the learning in that?
Well, the biggest thing that I look at is conditioning, right? That it takes time, but I also think that that's a bullshit story.
Roger, keep going. That's great. Think it through.
So I think part of it is instead of being so, this is tough, because instead of being so hardcore and saying, oh, I will never do that again, I could have said, well, here's what I'm going to do, and it's going to be, I'm going to do my best. But then I don't know.
Well, I'll coach you through this. Yeah. This is live coaching. This is really beautiful for everyone. No, really.
Free sesh.
Who the fuck said it's free? What did you say? What are you talking about? I've already sent the invoice. So, yeah, it's one click, dude. I've got that all set up. Amazon's got one click. I got one click.
Yeah.
So, factually speaking, just again, this is data. We want to get the learning out of this, right? Every set of circumstances can be leveraged for gain if viewed masterfully. So we're viewing it masterfully to get some learning out of this. You were sincere when you made your pledge, but you didn't do what it took. So there may have been something else that you could have done. So there's learning in that, right? And maybe that is the learning, is to acknowledge that, wow, when I give my word, what else could I do to guarantee that I keep it? So here on a call, right, you're doing an interview and a podcast here, and what could you have done under those exact circumstances that you didn't do when you said, I give you my word, I will not ask again? Does that make sense? What else could you have done?
I don't know.
You could have gotten a Post-it note, maybe, and just put it right on your screen.
Right up there.
Right in your face. So it's kind of like you kind of have to look around it to see me. Just something, just anything.
Okay.
To make it so. Where are you going?
We get a Post-it note.
Yep. Yeah. So we'll move on from this, but the value, the learning in this is that, so this is some real live, like, mental toughness training, which is, there's no contract on the planet that is more powerful than your word. And the learning here is to be very, very mindful of when you give your word. And when you do give your word, is to do something to guarantee that you keep your word. So this morning during breakfast, I gave my word. I was checking some emails as I was eating breakfast downstairs at my breakfast table. And there was two messages. One said, I want to, the short story is both emails requested something. I made a commitment. I said, yeah, I'll send you that this morning. I'll get to that today. I'll send you that today. So I made notes and put them on the stairwell so that when I walk up to my office, I made a little move that makes a big difference to guarantee I can't forget it. But then what do I do with those notes? And I put them in a spot where it's in my face. I am eliminating the possibility of not keeping my word. I'm doing whatever it takes to eliminate that possibility. Right. So anyway, that's.
I've got another addition. Just like as you're talking, as I'm thinking about this, and this is what I'm also saying about telling the truth, because the more you tell yourself the truth, then the more when you give your word, it means more in your mind. It's not something that you just throw out there like, oh yeah. Like, hey, we need to do, when you're talking to something, it's like, hey, yeah, we need to do something sometime. Yeah, call me, whatever. Like, no, it's being very specific in your language, which I learned. That's one of the most valuable things I've learned from you is be super hyper specific in your language and what you tell other people. And even more importantly, yourself, because that's where it starts. Because in your mind, if you keep adding the meaning that my word is that important, then you train your mind to where when you do say something, you won't do it. But if you kind of you keep letting yourself go, letting myself off the hook, I let myself off the hook, then that meaning of my word gets less and less.
Amen. This is been a really very dynamic conversation. I think that we're going to need to have a part 2, buddy, because there's so much more. We're getting deep into it. We're getting close to closing time, yeah. And there's a million things that I want to interrogate you on still. But I do want to finish up with the one thing that we didn't finish. Okay, that I started and we went off on a tangent because you broke your word. It's the getting started thing. So let's give me some advice here, right? Somebody who has been spending a lot of time thinking about shoulding on themselves. I should really stop eating so much. I should really lose a little bit of weight here. I should get in better shape, or I should maybe I should read more. Just all those shoulds, right? That they follow up with some healthy behavior, endeavor, or habit that is not really part of their lives. Get them over the hump, man. How do you get them started so that they start to experience the things you're talking about, which is like, okay, you can raise the bar. So you're not just on the treadmill at the gym. You're actually you're starting to measure. You're like, all right, let's see if I can get to 5 miles. That's a metric. And then let's see if I can get to 5.2.
God, that's such a loaded question. Because once again, coming back to the honesty part, and really it goes into what you teach as far as being emotional, because people are so emotional, because when you get that point when you're just starting, people don't want to, let's say, go to the gym. I don't want to go to the gym because all these other people are going to look at me and they're going to judge me for being overweight or for being out of shape. When the reality is people don't really give a shit about you. They're looking at themselves. They're thinking the same thing about themselves.
That's a great point. Right? Yeah. Wow, that's a great point. Like, stop being so arrogant, thinking that they give a fuck.
Yeah, I mean.
Okay. So that's one thing. But what about just like putting aside the self-consciousness of that? Just where does the motivation come from to get started and to stay started? Until it's like, I feel like, with all kinds of behaviors, all kinds of different habits, it's like getting started till you get a groove, and then it's like, oh, I'm in. Now I can have this become my routine.
Okay, so
it doesn't take that much effort anymore. Like I'm actually only 8 days or 10 days into this pool plunge. I love it now. Like today's the first day that I can say this is actually. I was down here and go, this is actually cool. No pun intended. But you got to get past that. So What do you?
Okay.
Where's the advice there?
I'll give you a simple one. At the end of the day, you got to know if you're winning or not. And the only way you know if you're winning is metrics. So you've got to measure it. So let me give you an example. My wife came up with this idea. She said, hey, let's put a chart on our fridge. And this sounds really, really funny and stupid, but it was brilliant. She said, let's put a chart on our fridge, and I'll walk over and I'll show you this chart. And this chart just has a couple boxes, and the chart is calories. So it has, the calories that you burned, and the nutrition that, if you're in a deficit, right? So basically it has your nutrition and your exercise. And if you get both of those, whatever your goal is for the day, then you get a star. Okay? So you could come up with whatever is for you, but here's the deal, is that we all get excited about what we want. Here comes the desire part. But then the problem is, okay, I'm supposed to work out today, but I ran out of time. I didn't wake up early. So what we do is we go, oh, I'm not going to do it today, right? But if you're like, hey, I need to get my points. I need to get my point for the day. So you need to be able to scale. You need to be able to scale your shit. This is the best way to put it, okay? So today I was going to go walk on the treadmill, and now I've only got 20 minutes, and it takes me 20 minutes just to get to the gym. Well, guess what? I don't need to go to the gym. I can walk out my house and walk around the block for 20 minutes. That, to me, is the most powerful way to do shit, is scaling stuff. Oh, hey, I can't meditate for a half an hour today, but I can meditate for 2 minutes. I can't, you know what? I went over my calories, but I'm not going to let that become a whole binge day. I went over my calories, I caught it, right? And tomorrow I'm going to do better. So scaling, because it's kind of an all or nothing thing for most people. Does that make sense?
This guy is uncoachable.
Oh my God! Okay, obviously we got to do something serious here.
Yeah. What are we going to do?
Deep. I don't know.
Where was the Post-it?
It's right here.
Okay, so my suggestion sucked.
But here it is.
So it's like,
actually, we're doing it. We're catching it. It's patterned.
No, I'm catching it, buddy. You're not catching it. I'm catching it. Okay.
Obviously,
I'm catching it.
It's bouncing off. I'm pretty dense, so it's bouncing off.
Well, that's interesting though. It's a habit. It's a habit. So okay. Watch it, dude. Watch the habit. Just pay attention to it. I feel like when you ask me that it sort of minimizes, like I just did with the sort of, so I'm catching and deleting that, that it has the effect of minimizing the power. Dude, you're an expert. I know that you know that. I certainly know that. I probably know that at times more than you even know it about yourself. And at times when you say, does that make sense? It minimizes the power of the sentence that preceded it. So, watch that. More coaching. This is a public coaching session.
It is more conditioning.
Yeah, and that's what it is, right? And that's what all we've ever talked about today, okay, is conditioning, and that is it in real life, right? Is that's a pattern, and what we're doing is we're heightening. This has been so valuable to you. So it's actually the breaking of your word here has value. Not that you want to go do that on purpose because you don't feel good about breaking your word, but you're like, wow, I really did mean that when I said, and I did get it posted. So I guess that's not enough. There's learning and growth. Right, to interrupt that pattern. There's a pattern I have. Fascinating. Is the pattern serving me? I don't know if it is or not. I think it's not. Chris says it's not. So let's examine it. Let's become mindful of it. So that's my challenge to you, and for all of us, right? This is the growth, right? Is to pay attention to patterns and ask them, are they serving us? And then to do what it takes to interrupt them. So thanks for modeling that.
Appreciate it. Thanks for modeling the conditioning.
Yeah. Let's talk about one last thing before we bounce. Talk to me about what's your typical morning routine like?
Man, it has actually gotten quite extensive, but once again.
Lay it out.
Okay, so first thing, I wake up, right? I walk in.
It's good to start with that.
I wake up. You got to wake up first thing in the morning. If you don't, you can't wake up dead. That's not a good idea.
You can't do that.
So you get up. I get up and I go into my bathroom and use the restroom, and then I get on the scale.
Okay.
Right? I want to see where I'm at.
Right,
okay?
data.
So
you want the data. Cool.
I want the data, and to me, I don't get emotional about it. And then I write it on my mirror with a dry erase marker.
I'm gonna start. I love that.
Dry erase markers, baby. Okay,
that's cool.
I write it on there, so I see it.
Not right now.
I see it.
All right.
Don't get chintzy ass dry erase markers. Yes, the Expo black or red works, but do you want it bar? You want it
I'm going to get green for Eagles. My green one ran out.
Green. I love green for abundance and for Eagles. Okay, so then I get in the shower, and you know, I don't know about you guys, but I'm very foggy. I might have a little, you know, maybe I have a little depression or a little anxiety. I don't know. Certain things creep in. So the first thing I do is I get in a warm shower. Feels good, right? But then here comes my first challenge. My first challenge is, all right, here's my cold shower for the day. And it's 2 minutes, right? Not a big deal. And here's what happens.
And you don't ease into it. You just whoop, and you turn it cold.
Well, here's what happens. Here comes the dialogue. Oh, this feels really good. I don't want to, I don't have to do it today. I'll skip. I don't have time to do this, right? So you start having that dialogue, and then I go, so I feel myself, I feel and notice myself starting to do this shit. Like starting to turn away from the shower, and I go, fuck you, let's go. And then I turn it on cold, right? Boom, it hits my face. That's what I start with. I hit my face first, 15 seconds, right? And then I move to my chest, 15 seconds. Then I turn this shoulder, 15 seconds. This part of my head, 15 seconds, right? So I'm kind of tricking my body saying, hey, it's only 15 seconds. And then I keep rotating, and with all those parts, it comes out to be 2 minutes, right?
2 minutes. So you go from warm, but you slam it all the way over to cold. You don't ease it over. You just go whoop.
No. Life's not about easing. Life is like going to punch you in the face. And so first thing in the morning, it's like, hey, and here's the thing. It's like taking 2 shots of caffeine, like a double shot at Starbucks. It's like, boom, you're breathing, like your body is just, oh, it's awesome.
Okay.
And after I get out, I feel my body's like pulsating. So then I buff myself off with a towel, and then I get dressed, and I usually go right over to my office and I do my meditation first thing after that. So my meditation, you trained me how to get in the gap. Okay, and so I would practice that, and where I really made a breakthrough was when I incorporated Wim Hof stuff. So I will do 5 minutes. I'll set a timer. I'll grab my phone, 5 minutes. I hit it, and I start breathing. And basically his method is you breathe in, you breathe out, right? And you try to force the breath in, and then you just let it come out. I do that for 30 times, and on the 30th time, I hold my breath. Right? And I just hold it.
So, so you wake up, then you get your cold shower.
Measure myself, get on scale.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Wait, measure data collection.
Data, feedback.
Data collection. Yep. Information, right?
Shock my body, my mind.
Cold, and then meditate, and then what?
Meditate, okay. And then from meditation, I come downstairs and I feed my mind. This is huge.
Feed your mind.
Feed my mind with the text that I'm studying at the time, right? So for me right now, it is this right here. It's Garrett J. White's Warrior Book. Okay? It's a black book. It's the modern men's guide to having it all in business, being, balance, and body. So I've read that book 3 times over and over again, and I just continue. I study that text to get my mind right. Okay? It shifts. There's a very important shift we're talking about. We're talking about fighting perspective, right? So that is like almost like the fuel to get my mind going. Then from there, I do something called the stack, which comes from that book. And the stack is the equivalent, like catch on replace. It's the equivalent of going to the gym and working out. So you go through this thing, and it's a document. It's a lot like Byron Katie's The Work. Basically, it takes all of your stories, and you got to hunt them down. And you find these stories by the things that have triggered you. Maybe last night I had an argument with my wife, and it bugged me. Or my neighbor said something to me, and it pissed me off. Or I'm struggling with something. I take that and I put that and I run it through the stack, and then it comes out with action steps, basically my revelation from those stories.
Where do people learn about this thing you refer to as the stack?
warriorbook.com.
In that book?
This book right here. So warriorbook.com, that's the website for Garrett's website. Or you can just go and follow Garrett on Facebook, and you can find out about it.
Okay, and then, so after you stack it up, then what?
Okay, so then when I stack it up, okay, there's something called the Core 4 also that goes with that, and that's basically where it says, hey, look, here's these areas of your life that you've determined that are important. Now here's where you metrically measure your shit. So there's body, and there's 2 parts to body, which is fuel and fitness, and then in being there's meditation and memoirs. So I meditate, and then I'm taking what I've learned through my stack and through my meditation, and I'm putting it into my journal. Does that make sense? I'm capturing the lesson, the shit that I'm downloading.
That one either.
Damn it.
What?
And then, okay, and then there's balance. Balance is I'm going to invest in my family, which for me is my wife, or if anybody, if I have somebody I'm thinking about, I'm going to send them a text. Hey, I'm thinking about you. I honor, appreciate, or love this about you. One way, I'm investing in them. They don't need to respond to it, right? The other part about that is power. So there's basically 1 point. They're broken up in half points, 1 point for each one, and the other part is power, and that is do something that gives you power. For me, it's the stack, right? The stack is included in that.
So, wow,
and the last part,
okay, go ahead. Yeah.
okay, the last part is business, is discover and declare. And so I relentlessly study business, like marketing, sales, and leadership specifically. And then I declare it. So the lesson that I learned, maybe I'll read 1 chapter or a page, and then I'll take the lesson, and then I will speak it into my phone so that I learn it more effectively.
Wow.
Of 1 of 3 of those areas.
Where is the exercise in all this situation? Physical.
That's next. And then I go to the gym.
Oh.
Or I go hiking.
You do something.
So I go, I get, yeah.
Every day?
I take
Every day. Every day.
Every day. If I don't do that, then I'll do something like, so here's the
What about
thing.
recovery? How about like?
Okay, so that's my point is, so you actively or you intentionally do something for your body. Now, if it's not exercise, then it's like, hey, I'm going to go get a massage. Or today, I'm going to do absolutely nothing for my body and make sure that I recover specifically.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
You're focusing on your body every single day.
All right. So an action for your physical health could be
Correct.
non-action with the intention of recovering.
Correct.
But that's okay. That's cool. That's great. Roger that. That's a lot, man.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
So once again, I have to condition myself. Then I can start scaling it back and doing the things that that have the best bang for the buck. So huge parts: meditation, right? Fueling your mind, moving your body, breaking the stories, the bullshit stories that we have, to where we can grow.
Yeah.
And become different.
Roger that. So let's wrap it up. Congratulations, you are to date the longest of all the Tough Talks. Couldn't hang up. So my recommendation for you for does that make any sense? Is to replace it with something like, and I'm thinking back to a coach that I used to work with, who you know, who's the only reason I know you, who would say to me, after he would make a comment that he felt was particularly poignant, he would go, "Can you get that?" He'd put it on me. He's not asking me if he made sense. He knows he made sense. He'd say, "Can you get that? Like, are you with, did that sink in? Because I'll say it again if you didn't get it. Can you get that?" On me, right? So you can play with that, toy around with that. Brother, thank you, man. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I'll tell my wife, and she will catch me. She won't let me slide.
So
I'll tell her when she get home. Yeah, that's it.
Well, I mean, you may not even agree with me that that's a minimizer. Do you agree?
I do. And you've actually, I'm trying to think, there was some other things that you caught me saying as well. And like I said, I agree so much when you say, watch your mouth. Watch your language, because that language dictates your belief system or reveals your belief system. And I have taken that. That's one of the biggest truths that I've taken from you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, brother. And I take a lot of truths from you. And I'm serious when I'll go back to the very beginning when we were introducing you. So follow this guy, everyone, on social media. So you're seriously, because all it is pure inspiration. Like, you inspire me constantly, dude, constantly. And I love that. So thank you. Thank you for that, for being added fuel to my own growth, right?
Appreciate it.
Mentally, physically, with respect to my mind, my nutrition, and my body. Where do you want people to follow you? Where do you want people to find you?
Just Mike Garrick on Facebook. Also Mike Garrick on Instagram. And I do have a YouTube channel, and it would be Mind, Nutrition, Body, No Spaces on YouTube.
Oh, right on. Oh, that's great. Yes, I know that. Those are amazing videos. Wow. Yeah. And that people can see your abs there.
That's right.
Yeah.
I can see my house.
We didn't get you to peel today. Next time.
No.
Next time we'll have you peel. Thank you, brother. Love you, man. Totally
Yeah, love you
appreciate
too,
you
bro.
making time. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Bye bye.